Alright, these are the notes for section 5-9 on solving with decimals. We do get to use a calculator in this section, which will help us out, kind of save us a little bit of time. So example 1. If I have x plus 2.9 equals negative 0.6. I'm going to solve this just like we did in chapter 2. We need to move our constant to the other side in order to isolate the variable. So we're going to subtract 2.9 from both sides. That gives us, you have to be careful if you're going to use the calculator. The calculator distinguishes between a negative and a minus, or subtraction. This is a negative sign. This is a subtraction sign. Each calculator is a little different, but it has a button for the negative sign, a different button for subtraction. So we are doing negative 0.6 minus 2.9. So be very careful here. Most of these calculators like mine, you do 0.6 and then you hit that button, it makes it negative. So that's negative 0.6. Now we want to do minus or subtraction. So we're going to hit the minus key, minus 2.9 equals. Be careful, make sure you get negative 3.5. Or we have learned how to do this by hand, so this one wasn't so bad, you could do by hand. Just be very careful entering things in the calculator. Ask me if you need help on which buttons to push and what order to push them in, because each calculator does function a little bit differently. Alright, let me give you one to try. This will be example 2. Let's do 7 equals negative 4.3 plus x. Let's pause the video and try this one. Alright, so similar to example 1, this was plus 2.9, so we had to subtract. This is negative 4.3, so we're going to add 4.3 to both sides. So this is positive 7 plus 4.3. You should get 11.3. You should not need a calculator. If you use one, no big deal. And that equals x. So these are called one-step equations. Took one step to get to our answer. Let's look at a different situation, and then we'll put the two steps together. So if I have 2.25x equals negative 1.8. This is different. It's not being added or subtracted, it's being multiplied. We learned in chapter 2 that the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 2.25. This we did not learn how to do by hand. It is possible, but I would not recommend it. We know a negative divided by a positive gives us a negative result. So I'm going to go ahead and put my negative so I don't have to mess with it in the calculator. So this will be 1.8 divided by 2.25. You should get 0.8, and it should be negative. So still a one-step equation, except we're dividing instead of adding or subtracting. Let me give you one to try. This is example 4. Negative 1.7 equals 0.05x. Let's pause the video and try this one. Similar to example 3, we're going to divide both sides by 0.05. Again, a negative divided by a positive is going to give us a negative result. Be careful when you type this in. 1.7 divided by 0.05. You should get negative 34. So sometimes they work out to integers. Most of the time they work out to decimals. And if you have to round, you'll just round as requested. Alright, so we're going to put this step of adding and subtracting together with this step of dividing, just like we did in chapter 2. So let's look at a couple more examples. This will be example 5. We'll do this one together, then I'll give you one to try. So putting those together will look something like this. If we have 4 equals 0.2x minus 2.6. We want to move our constants first to isolate the variable. So we're going to add 2.6 to both sides. You should get 6.6 equals 0.2x, either in the calculator or by hand. Then we're going to divide both sides by that coefficient of 0.2. So be careful typing this in. 6.6 divided by 0.2 should give us 33. And if you don't trust the calculator, you can do it manually to make sure you get 33. So you add or subtract first, move those decimals, combine them with other constants, and then when you get down to the variable equals the number, then you divide by the coefficient to get your answer, just like we did in chapter 2. Alright, one more to try. Let's do the last one, example 6. Let's do 3.1x minus 4 equals 13.42. Go ahead and pause the video and try this one. Alright, the first thing you want to do is add 4 to both sides. Then you get 3.1x equals 17.42. And then divide. Divide both sides by the coefficient of 3.1. 17.42 divided by 3.1. We get a big crazy decimal. Let's round to the nearest hundredth. Again, the computer or the test will tell you how to round because it knows there's going to be some crazy ones. So x would be 5.62 if we round to the nearest hundredth. And that is solving with decimals.